Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man! At your services. How are you all? We're doing very, very well. Now, in another optimistic, heartwarming topic, we're going to discuss scars. Movie scars. Scars are great. Everyone's got scars, whether you've got them on the inside or on the outside. They are there. And they are like the manifesto of your life, the tapestry of your traumas, the hallmarks of your heroics, the calling cards of your clumsiness. Yeah, we've all got them. I've got dozens and dozens of scars, some great ones and some really crap, little naff ones. But I think, we've all got them. And some are great. I've got some savage ones down my arms, which are from a lot of different stuff, like mainly accidents. But every finger's scarred, my hip is scarred, my side is scarred, my face and my head are scarred, got a couple on my nose. But you haven't got to be some kind of like super warrior, a cage fighter to have scars. Like a firefighter or a soldier, whatever. You haven't got to be like that. Just be a gardener or a construction worker or a painter decorator. Every day, you're gonna get nicks and cuts, which are gonna be reopened the next day, and then they're gonna be a scar. And I've got one, the most recent one of mine, which I think I mentioned in a previous video. I got a rather nasty mozzie bite just under here, folks. It's given me, well, what amounts to a scaramanga, a third nipple. And I know already, because I had such a bad reaction to that one, that I inevitably ripped it open to try to expunge all the evil juice that was in there, the venom. And of course, there's nothing in there. It's only your body reacting to it. So that's how you create the scar from a mozzie bite. Never scratch your mozzie bites. But that's there. But of course, when people say to me when I'm strutting around topless or I'm in the beer garden, you're gonna go, what happened there? Like, that was a thresher shark. I was saving an old granny who fell in to the River Mersey, fell off the ferry boat, and I leapt in courageously and beat a thresher shark with its own tail. But I got one little whip which took me under the armpit. Anyway, folks, scars in the movies. What are scars in the movies? They denote a character. They denote predominantly they're going to be somebody bad. It's a mark of the monster. A scarred visage, hideously disfigured by some horrible accident, and then they're driven by revenge for a vendetta against society or whatever. But they're also the mark of a hero. Yeah, you've got all of these different ends of the spectrum where it's that's a point of pride that, you were a victim there, but now you become monstrous because of this deed that was done to you, and you're marked forever. Now, I've done like a bit of a top 10 here, and because hey, this is what we do, isn't it? And it's all for fun, of course. And I've brought some scarred friends here. Although one of them, well, we'll discuss him in a bit because he was on the list and I had to remove him from the list. Bad behaviour. No. Now, I'm not talking about the likes of the awesome competition between Quint and Hooper on the orca in Jaws. Drink to your leg, I'll drink to your leg, and all that kind of stuff. And again, a thresher shark came into that. That's a thresher's tail, chief. And they're comparing scars. And Brody, who's trying to be macho with them, he has a little look down and his appendix scar. He's like, okay. And then stupidly he's getting in on the laugh, and he goes, what's that one? To Quint. Oh, that was a tattoo. I got that removed. And Hooper's still hooping it up. And he's going like, don't tell me, mother. Mr. Hooper, that was the USS Indianapolis. You on the Indianapolis? What happened, says Brody. So you've got that. That's infamous. That is one of the best scar debates ever. You've also got, because in Lethal Weapon they tried to do a similar sort of thing with Riggs and Rennie Russo in Lethal Weapon 3 comparing scars and all that. And it was done for romantic, sort of, comedic, and it was shit. So That's not made it either. And there are quite a few others which didn't make the list, like Mandy Patinkin as Inigo Montoya with his scars on his face in The Princess Bride, scars put there by the six-fingered man. I happen to think that Princess Bride is massively overrated, and I know I'm probably in a minority there because it's in every critic's top 10. People love it. I don't know anyone who doesn't like it. Please let me know. I'd just be interested. I think it's good. It's got some great sword fights in it, very realistic sword fights, and it's a lovely bit of whimsy and fable. But I thought I'm always kind of bored by it. Is that it? It seems very insubstantial to me. But yeah, he's got a couple of scars there. And in Inglourious Bastards, you've got Brad Pitt's character, what's his name, Lieutenant Aldo Ray or something like that. Is it Aldo Ray? Aldo Rain. I did write it down here because I've got my little list here. And he's got a big scar around his neck from like a lynching which he survived. But his thing about, when this war's over, the Nazis are going to move back into society and no one will know what they did. They won't be recognised. So when he captures them, well, if he lets them live, that is, he'll carve swastikas into them and all that, so they'll be branded. So that's a nice twist on the whole tattoo, the whole scar thing. So, yeah. Now, so I've got a top 10 here. Let's just make sure, because I've just knocked this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I've got 10. Although I have to do a bit of a swap around because that guy there, yeah, Eric, the Phantom of the Opera, he was I think he was number 3. And that, of course, is from the original silent 1920s Phantom of the Opera. The awesome makeup that Lon Chaney Sr. performed on himself for the harassed death's head, sort of cadaver-like demon that lurks in the bowels of the theatre. But the thing is, he was like, if you look at it, the story itself and the original novel, he's like that from birth, so he's not been scarred. Subsequent versions of the Phantom of the Opera would have the Phantom being, he's scarred in some accident or something's befallen him in later life where he's composing his final concerto and all of that, and then some horrible, his work gets stolen and whoever stole it throws acid in his face. It's always that kind of thing. So yeah, they become scarred. But that original guy with one of the best makeups ever, that was not scarring. He was born deformed. That's how that character is. And it's in the original movie as well. So I'm afraid, although I thought, oh, I've scored a big one there. No, I had to remove him. Anyway, before we launch into this top 10 of harassed, harried and harrowing faces, let's have a swig of this. To further harass, harry and harass my liver. I've noticed of late that because my hair's receding and I've got this little bit, this tufty bit here, that when I go a certain way, it looks like, ooh, he hasn't got much hair on top, has he? Well, I have. I've still got plenty and plenty of it. It's just that that bit comes a lot forward. And anyway, Captain Vanity there, which is a nice little segue into our first candidate, because it's Vanity that put this scar there on his character's face. And it is, yes, it's my favourite, it's Kurt Russell as Snake Pliskin in Escape from New York and Escape from LA. Now, we know he's already a Third World War hero, decorated. His eye's been demolished by poison gas. He's battered and bruised, but he's a vengeful, totally anti-authoritarian, anti-hero. But Kurt Russell, and I love the way that Kurt Russell built that character up. That leather jacket came from a down and out living round the corner from where they were filming in St. Louis. The belly tattoo and the eye patch were also ideas, literally just cobbled together at the time. The name Snake Pliskin came from someone that John Carpenter knew. I love how it all came together. And the scar, because on his left cheek, Snake Pliskin had, and sometimes you don't even see it for a long time. When I first saw the movie, I never knew it actually existed. And there was a little scar which runs down here. Very faint, just very neat. It's like a clip, you could say. But the reason why that's there is Kurt Russell's got great big dimples in his face. So, touch of vanity again. He thought, well, can we hide the dimple with a scar? Let's give him a scar. Nothing too major. Still want him looking good looking, you know. So that's why that scar gets there. And it's faint, it's subtle, but it adds a bit of mystique again because you don't know how he got that. Like in the film, you don't find out how he lost the eye, although if you go into the folklore of the original novelisation, then you'll know all of this. Anyway, so number 1. Number 10. Let's go backwards. Number 10 is Snake Pliskin from Escape from New York. Number 9 is going to be Scar, the appropriate name Scar from The Lion King. Yeah, voiced by Jeremy Irons. The sarcastic, caustic, condescending, patronising bastard brother who wants revenge and wants to rule, you know, the pride. And I know it's Disney, it's animated, but he's got that scar across his eye, hence his name. But don't forget, he wasn't born with that scar. Again, my young friend. What happens is, and there's 2 versions of this story, and I'm not sure which is the one that you're supposed to go with, but either way, the scar is inflicted when he goes out on a, sort of a hunting, prowling mission of his own. And his original name is Taka, or Takar, something like that. And in one version, sorry, I'm looking at my little note there, in one version, you don't see this in the movie, he meets another lion, oh no, I think it's a baboon that wants to use Taka to become friends so they can take out the Lion King and, you know, rule together sort of thing. But Taka's like, I'm not sure about this. So the baboon realises, okay, I need to take you out then as well. Oh, just come have a look under this rock over here. And underneath that rock is a big snake. It's Pliskin again! And the snake bites Taka across the eye. But Taka obviously survives. And then because he's now scarred and that's when he turns more vicious and dastardly, he becomes known as Scar. Now, in another variation of that, he's out gone hunting buffalo on his own, and in a tussle with a buffalo, that's not a euphemism, in a tussle with a buffalo, he gets his eye scarred that way. But he's a great character, and looks-wise, it's intimidating. He's got that arrogance, he's got that antagonistic sort of noble, regal badassness, but that scar really exemplifies him. So he's in there. Now, so at number 10, 9, 8, we've got everyone's favourite schoolboy wizard. Yeah, Harry Potter. That lightning blast. That's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. It's iconic. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of Harry Potter, but I certainly enjoy that story, that saga for what it is. I like how it goes so much darker. But that is one hell of a great scar to have. A lightning flash on your head. It's brilliant. And the way it illuminates certain times throughout the movies, you know, when orcs are near. But I think it's a great effect. You've got people who get that tattooed now to look like him. And I don't blame them. That's actually quite a wicked little scar to have. Very cool. Now, I've got a scar on my forehead. And interestingly, it's when I split my head open when I was a kid. And running to the bathroom for reasons long forgotten. Because obviously events overtook me. I slipped when arse over tit and I smacked my head on not the plastic toilet seat, which would have been great, I'd have bounced off that. No, that was lifted. So I smacked my head on the hard ceramic base, which of course is like bloody concrete. And I stood up and looked in the mirror and I saw my head go, and I saw the blood burst out and squirt down the mirror, at which point I passed out. Anyway, so I split my head open. But there's a scar here. You probably can't see it. Well, you won't be able to see it. I can't even see it looking in the lens right now. But it is there. Although for many years, like a bit of a Mandela effect, I always thought it was on that side. And I swear to God, through all my school years, my 20s, the time in the Marines, I always had a scar there. And it's not. It's on that side. Go figure. I've got a Kurt Russell dimple developing there. But yeah, where'd that come from? How did it swap over? I don't know. But it's there. It's definitely there. And you know, because it doesn't tan as well. And when I eventually stop going lobster like and actually get a bit of a bronzy, that bit doesn't. It stays white. Anyway, so Harry Potter, yeah. Now here's an unusual one. Here's an unusual one for you. See, the point is, you don't have to be a bad guy to have an iconic scar. You know, a scar which marks you out as individual, as like, oh, badass. You know, Harry Potter, Snape Pliskin's a good guy, to a degree, for himself. But our next candidate, who would be number 7, I think, is a great white shark. No, not Bruce from Jaws, but it's the one from Jaws 2. The one who's just going about his normal maritime business of murdering and mutilating any hapless limbs that get into his domain, the sea. And he goes after the water skier. Yeah. Chomp chomp. The girl driving the speedboat. Where is she? Where's she gone? Goes back. Shark comes up, bites onto the boat, the little speedboat, in a ridiculous bit of self-defense which goes horribly awry, or horribly awry. She manages to pour kerosene all over herself and the boat, then fires a flare pistol at the shark. Boom! Whole thing goes up. And obviously she dies, but the shark gets hideously burnt on one side of its snout and its face. So later on, when we see it, especially when you see it doing the attack on the dive school, one of the best scenes in the Jaws franchise, as far as I'm concerned. And that one guy splits off from the rest of the dive team, and he starts scampering over the rocks, chasing little spider crabs. And he enters one of the most demonic looking patches of undersea I've ever encountered. And it's just an underwater forest of vines, and it's misty and murky. Everything about this screams, don't go near! And he's there, and in a great sort of tracking movement following him, all of a sudden the shark just comes out like that, just misses him. But as he sees it and bites through his breathing apparatus, you see that burnt, scarred side of its face, its Freddy Kruegerized face, and it misses him, and he gets the bends trying to escape. But from then on, when we see the shark, we see that hideous, monstrous look on its face. And when the shark, he comes at you, doesn't seem to be living till he bites you, and those black eyes roll over white, ocean turns red, and you hear that terrible pounding, hollering, high-pitched screaming. But yeah, so that is a genuinely frightening image there, and it adds to the mythos of an already frightening brute, because don't forget the shark in Jaws 2 is bigger than Bruce. And Bruce, when you see Bruce's face, he's pretty scarred up as well, but that look, they had to make that shark a bit more distinctive from the first movie, and I think they did a bang-up job doing it. Looks amazing, and it definitely adds a demonic side to the shark's character. So, Jaws 2. Then we've got to enter pure arch villain, James Bond. Donald Pleasance as Blofeld. You only live twice. I know, much parodied, but the sort of circular, the fleshy monocle around his eye and the line going down. Which eye is it? It's his left eye, isn't it? So around there, and this sort of line, this vertical line running through, and stroking a putty tat on his lap, But it's a great iconic look. Do you ever find out how he got that scar? Do you find out in Ian Fleming's original novels? I can't remember, I know you... Spectre. God almighty. Christoph, whatever his name is. I've forgotten his name, who plays him. Oh God. Please, when we ever do finally get to see No Time to Die, I know he's back in it. I know you're going to wrap all this Bond story up, which is all to do with Blofeld, and I'm the architect of all your pain. Fuck off. I hate Spectre with a vengeance. But because he gets the scar in the Daniel Craig series because of what Daniel Craig chucks an explosive in his face or something, doesn't he? And when he gets out of the complex at towards the end of Spectre, whatever. Donald Pleasance looks the part. in the little, Dr. Evil suit and all that. And it's brilliant. The bald head, his effete, maniacal mannerisms, the cat, the little collar, but that look, the way he turns around in the chair. Yeah, it's outstanding, and purely iconic look. So he was, hang on, 10, 9, 8, 7. He was number 6. Number 5, we're going into Indiana Jones. And I know what you're going to say. Oh, Harrison Ford already got the scar, so they had to add it in. I'm not talking about that scar. That's a nice little touch that you added in there. But no. I'm talking about Ronald Lacey in Raiders of the Lost Ark playing Toth, Gestapo officer Toth. They need the medallion off Marion to go with the staff of whatever it is and to find the Ark and all that kind of stuff. All that MacGuffin type stuff. But they need that medallion which shows exactly where it's going to be hidden away. And of course, in the fight in Nepal, the medallion falls into the fire, and Tote sees it, and he reaches in, and then goes like that. Then you see him run outside in the snow. He's going dipping his hand in all the snow flurries to try to cool his hand down, and then you forget about him. You think, that's him. He's a write-off now, isn't he? No, because how is it that Belloc and all the others making the dig in Egypt are going to find where it is once Indy's done all of his skullduggery and got in there first under a storm cloud of, heavenly retribution. And you see Tote come in. How do you do it? Because, we've got the medallion. And Tote, of course, comes in and just goes like, Heil Hitler. And you see his hand, and it's burned, it's scarred into him, it's seared into him, the medallion, and that's how they can use it, so they know where to dig. Heil Hitler. And it's there. I remember, even as a kid, and I'd be, 10, 11 when that come out, and I was just howling with laughter. I thought that was genius, cinematic genius. It's a great character piece, and it moved the story forward. It worked the narrative. It was iconic, and it just served the story deliciously. Love it. So Totes at number 5. Number 4, the Joker. You know I got these scars. Well, I couldn't really leave out the Joker. In all the versions of the Joker, he's a hideously scarred clown, the clown prince of crime. Now, whether you're going for acid in the face, that's hardly dense, but he falls into a tub of acid, gets completely albinoized, and then his hair turns green and all that. And in some versions, there's a bullet going through his face, which makes, it pins it all back like that, in the rictus grin, which he then accentuates with the clown's smiley makeup. Looks amazing. But Heath Ledger's portrayal, and did play in that role. You look at all of Heath Ledger's roles before that. A good actor, a reliable, very good actor, but his performance as the Joker is absolutely leaps and bounds ahead of everything he'd done before. How is that? Did he find the zeitgeist for his performing? And that was enough to tip him over the edge. Well, I know we know the reasons why he went, but it just seems, well, I'm going to go out on a high. A film was made afterwards, but this is the one he's remembered for. This is the swan song. And but that characterization, and he uses the makeup, he uses he is hiding behind a mask, and Heath Ledger just becomes this completely infernal, fiendish, insidious mastermind. He's so clever, he's ageless. You don't know what's happened. You never get the right story for why you got the scars. I got these scars. He's never going to tell you the right story. It's always going to be a different version. And of course, you do see him without the makeup on as well at the big funeral procession, and the guns, and he turns around and you can see him, albeit in a split second, you see him without the makeup on, and he's got the scars there. It's an iconic look. I'm afraid the word iconic is going to get used a hell of a lot. It already has been, but that's what these scars are. Oh, I've just thought of another scarred character who is not going to get in here in that top 10, and that's Al Pacino as Scarface. a guy who's known as Scarface, and in the epic 2.5 hour, 3 hour movie, it's only referenced a couple of times. The bloody title, and then when he comes through American customs, how'd you get that scar? And you see the other guy, and all that sort of stuff. It's barely ever mentioned or referred to as Scarface. You'll go down in history as Scarface. No. So you're out, I'm afraid. But Heath Ledger's Joker is exemplary in the annals of Scardom. Right, now, the next one was going to be Eric. No, it wasn't. I've got 2 crossings out here. What have I done here? Oh, I've swapped a couple round. It's all right, folks. I'm back on track. It's not easy writing notes and then, I'll start filming, and then you go, oh, hang on, that's not right. And you cross one out quickly and put another name in which you can't read. The next one, and I'm playing their music now, it's from Dread, and it's Lena Headey as Mama. Oh dear, prostitute, drug queen in charge of, what was it called? What's it called? Peach trees? The big mega block. A fantastic movie, a massively, cruelly, badly marketed movie. It should have spawned a trilogy. It should have made a TV series. This was absolutely extraordinarily good, authentic to the original Judge Dredd comic strip. It was hard hitting. It was so well filmed with slow-mo. The violence was blistering. The story was similar to The Raid, but they were made concurrently, and we're not aware of each other. But Carl Urban as Dredd is fantastic. But Lena Headey, who is always great as a sexy, strong, femme fatale type, or a gorgeous queen, as in Queen Gorgo in 300 and 300 Rise of an Empire. But she can play a tremendous villain. I mean, look, Game of Thrones, forget the finale, forget how badly it ended, but she was ruthless. And then she goes through the ringer, and you get to understand it and be compassionate for all their suffering. But then you hate her all over again, because she's still a nasty piece of work. But as Mama, who is, as I say, she was a she was a prostitute and a druggie. And she tries to get out of the whole prostitution thing. But the guy that's in charge, her pimp, kills her boyfriend, and then hideously disfigures her, carving her face up into this horrible patchwork all across one side, which looks shocking. It's a great makeup effect, and it twists her face. She's still beautiful, but she's truly hideous as well. Well, she gets her revenge because she emasculates him, of course, with the drug slow-mo, which slows everything down. But excellent movie, excellent character, fabulous makeup effect on her as well, and she rules. As Mama, she rules the roost there, without a doubt. Mama knows best, and she is one pure badass. And that face should play her music, her theme, which gives her backstory. The film is excellent. The 3D is amongst the best. If you're going to see the film, you should see it in 3D. The film was made to be in 3D. It puts you inside of vehicles. Just things that you wouldn't think of being like, wow, space and extra dimensions, and I'm in the back of this cruiser, powering it down a highway. You're in it. The whole extraordinary complex of Peachtree's mega block, the battle sequences, everything is just so beautifully three-dimensional, full of depth. And her final scene, her death scene, given slow-mo and catapulted over the balcony at the top of this skyscraper, to plummet slowly to her death and her doom, and it hit the deck. Oh, it's just excellent. This film really should have gone on. That's her theme, the rise of Mama, telling her backstory. But she's a ruthless bitch. Only Lena Headey can play a bitch so beautiful and so badass. So yeah, she's up there. Number 9 is this guy here. It's Griffin Dunne playing Jack Goodman from American Wealth in London. Yeah, I know. I bang on about this movie a lot, But you want to talk about scars. He gets savaged by the werewolf, in the start of American Werewolf. David gets a chomp but gets away and survives and lives to become a werewolf. He comes back from the grave to warn David, look, you've got to take your own life. Next full moon, you'll become a monster, A werewolf. No, that's the one thing I don't like about it. He says werewolf. That is wrong, folks. There's a director called Peter Weir, I've got a mate called Andy Weir, and that's W-E-I-R. Werewolf is W-E-R-E. Werewolf. Their wolf. But he comes back in escalating, or rather decomposing states of decay and rot to warn his best friend what's going to happen to him. Now that is the final stage we see him at in the porno theatre in Soho. That's the final stage where he's scratching a nose that isn't really there, and it's just a puppet. That's not Griffin Dunne in any makeup. That is Rick Baker's puppetry effect. But Griffin Dunne is operating it to try to give it a personal slant. And I'm playing this, so I'll work it from beneath, and that's what he does. But now that looks tremendous, but it's the first look. I mean, you guys knew I was coming to this because I banged on about it so much. When he first visits David in the hospital, and he's still only quite a fresh kill comparatively, and the scars in a bright lit room in a hospital ward, there he is, and it's just that little piece of waggly flesh, which was a mistake because it, as Rick Baker says, like it actually came, unattached, and it just waggled away there. So really, I should have gone back in and we should have refilmed that because it wasn't meant to do it. But everyone remembers it because it becomes, here's that word, iconic. So it takes on a life of its own, waggling away there. Looks extraordinary. But the deep cuts in his face. I've said it before about Griffin Dunne went through a very bad phase when he was like getting made up, spending hours in the makeup chair from early in the morning to play the role of a dead man and come back from the grave. He went into a very depressive state because he just thought, this is how I'm going to look when I'm dead. And, people don't think about that. The actually demoralising effect of watching, you're sitting in front of a mirror, looking great, a bit chipper, it's only 3 a.m. and I've got a full day's shoot ahead of me, and then they begin to work and change you and mutilate you and scar you. To Jack and to Griffin. But yeah, looks amazing. And I wish they'd bring out a mask of that look. I mean, you have this one, but really for me, the one that I want is that more ghastly, ripped up, where it's red blood and the trachea and esophagus are totally exposed. All the flesh is just ripped away, and it's still raw and red and glistening. Oh dear God. Yeah. Anyway, so who's the guy? Who's the guy at the top of this? The top of the tree? Who's numero uno for Scarface? And it ain't Al Pacino. Platoon, Tom Berenger, Sergeant Barnes. The evil flip side to the water walker that is Willem Dafoe's Sergeant Elias. Barnes, who is the eye of the storm. He's the Captain Ahab of the platoon. A vengeful, vindictive force of nature. He's been shot, as we learn. He's been shot 7 times. And he ain't dead. Don't you understand? Only thing that can kill Barnes is Barnes. And his face, a bullet has gone through his cheek and travelled round. But he's been shot elsewhere. He's scarred everywhere. But again, a bit like Lena Headey in Dredd, you have this, is it the left side? I think it's the left side of his face, is just become a patchwork. It's like evil stitched to evil. All these segments. It's almost a geometric shape, a puzzle, a jigsaw which has been fused out of his flesh, and it's truly ghastly. It twists his lip up, it brings an eye down, but he's got those. Tom Berenger, as much as you hate him in it, it's one hell of a powerhouse performance he delivers. In the village sequence, oh God, the vengeance sequence, he kills the screaming mother, oh God, and then takes the child, and he's got his gun to her head, you know, and like, I'll get that as well. Cha-cha-cha, VC! And Elias comes up, Barnes! Barnes! You ain't judge and jury and execution, you son of a bitch. Bang! But then you get the great, absolutely great sequence where Charlie Sheen as Chris Taylor says, you know, truth in the eyes, when you know. He knows that Tom Berenger's Barnes has, well, Barnes thinks he's killed Sergeant Elias, but Elias has managed to survive some, you know, high velocity rounds to the chest, and then still managed to run through the jungle, getting shot to bits by the VC amassing behind him as they're flying out. Chris Taylor sees it and knows that obviously Barnes was lying when he said, yeah, he's back there, he's dead. He knows. It's kind of circumstantial because Barnes could have said, well, he was lying there, he was dead, he'd been shot in the chest. I didn't know he was going to get up again. You could have got round it, but you know, it's the whole spearhead of the story, and so it can't be denied. Chris Taylor knows, as he says, you know, the truth's in the eyes. When you know. I said, we frag this fucker tonight, and all that, like, and Raw, you say, it gives him the speech about like, you know, you've been shot 7 times. Don't mean nothing to you. He's been shot 7 times and he ain't dead. The only thing that can get Barnes is Barnes. And it's brilliant. And then, of course, Barnes is outside and he hears all this. That scarred face and he's drinking. Yeah. Yeah, you guys all love Elias. Now you want to kick ass. Yeah. There's 5 of you. You 1 of me. Ain't nobody gonna know. Kill me. And of course they can't. I shit on you, you know, because they're all like cowards, and yeah, he's giving them the chance, but they know they're not going to do it. And then Chris Taylor does go fucking ape shit, and leaps at him like, but of course Barnes puts him down. Then Barnes pulls out a boot knife, one of those little stiletto boot knives with a nice little hand grip on it, and in a reverse scarring situation, Raw saying to him like, "Don't do it, man, don't do it. You know, you 10 years for killing a listed man. Climb the fucking walls, man." And Barnes just kind of thinks about it and then just goes and slits him just below the eye. And he's like, So he's scarred Chris as well. So you've got this scar duality. You've got the evil of those scars, and then the crusading scar, the guy that tried to do the right thing or tried to bring justice to a very bad situation. So there you go, folks. And that makeup effect, and there's quite a few people involved in the makeup on Platoon, so I'm not sure who's the one that did the actual prosthetic on his face there, but either way, it's an absolutely great job. It's a terrifying face, but Tom Berenger acts and emotes and performs through that with such strength and vigour that a lot of the time, and this is the weird thing, you forget he's scarred. You just see Tom Berenger, and that's the mark. Scar a mark. That's the mark of a great performer, because he gives a performance. Forget about the scarring. It's the scars on the inside of him which have made him such an evil, ruthless twat. And he brings all that to bear in a tour de force performance. And it's wonderful to behold. It's shocking, it's frightening. And of course, you know, Chris will get him at the end. And then I'd like to know how they got away with that one, because you know, the rescue party, the reinforcements only just coming up behind them. And they'd have heard those shots. I don't know. Platoon is a remarkable movie. I love it. I've gone on about it before, and it stands the test of time. Wonderful, wonderful film, and terrific performances all round. But Tom Berenger is just, oh God, you would not fuck with that guy. You just wouldn't. And part of the thing about having a scar means that you've been hit. If you're scarred, something has happened to you. So you're not completely indestructible. You're not totally infallible. You've fallen afoul of something as well. You know? It is what it is, folks. The scars on the doors. So Sergeant Barnes, he's numero uno in the scar top 10 for me. And you notice I didn't put Freddy Krueger in there. Why? Well, two reasons. One, I've given him too much frigging coverage lately. He's been in numerous videos I've done. But also because, as I've said, that scarring, although iconic as it may be, it's not convincing. If he's totally barbecued, his features wouldn't be there. So it's kind of like you just got a face, but you're hideously mangled at the same time. But it's not a convincing burn effect for me, although it looks tremendous. Pick the bones out of that. So folks, there you go. And I think the next video might well be on tattoos. Tattoos of the movie. And I don't mean that little guy in Fantasy Island. Look, boss, the plane. You know. Right, folks, I have been and always shall be Kilt-Man. I will probably be even more scarred when next you see me, because I'm an accident-prone little fucker. So, anyway, in the meantime, and this harried, fleshy in-between time, take it easy, be happy, be healthy, keep it kilted, keep it Celtic, and I am going to see you all. Ooh.